Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Get Comfortable Being Uncomfortable podcast. You are joined by myself and Octavia's sound effects in the background if you can hear it. Today, though, we are also joined by a very special guest, Ashley Robutz, who is a mindset coach. And Ashley and I met in the mastermind that we were in called Solid, where we were just ready to expand our nervous system and our lives and behind the scenes in business. Like, I connected so much with her. And so we have done a very exciting podcast swap. So she was on my podcast, which you're going to listen to this conversation in a quick second. And I was also very much honored to be on hers. So you're going to get all the juice there. But in today's episode, it was a deep dive into so many different topics, but actionable, tangible tips that you can start implementing to truly change your life, but also enjoy the life that you're living right now instead of waiting for the weekend, waiting for a holiday, waiting until you're in a relationship. So we uncover how to overcome being so hard on yourself. What are the biggest ways to create sustainable long-term change for the person you actually want to become? How do we actually enjoy the journey and make it feeling sexy rather than falling to the trap of the cliche? Just enjoying the journey. How do you balance it all? Like prioritizing fun, following your spark, elevating your energy while having so many things going off in the background at once. We unpack how to balance it all, how to lean into your intuition to glow up into who you want to be, what not following your intuition actually looks like in your life, and the domino effect of not following your intuition. What we believe is the ultimate hack to expanding into your next level. Mindset hacks to turn your day from fuck, my morning's been a total shit show to, okay, we're winning the day. Ashley's go-to self-care ritual, one health product she cannot live without, and what's something she's recently learned that's changed the way that she lives. I really, truly hope that you enjoy this episode. As always, leave a rating and review. I am up-leveling this podcast majorly, and I would love to hear all the feedback. Leave a comment on Spotify, leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, send me an Instagram DM, get in touch with me, connect. I really love it when you guys send me a message. I love connecting with you guys so much. So without further ado, enjoy this episode. How are you going?
Oh, I'm good. Like, how am I going? Like, good? Like,
Yeah,
how am I
yeah.
doing?
I think this is an Aussie. This is typical Aussie versus
Oh
American
my God, I
language
was like,
barrier. That's
wait.
like, how are you going? Like, how are you doing? How are you?
Oh my God, I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I supposed to know? Okay, I am doing well. I am good.
That is so funny. That is actually
That
hilarious.
is so
Oh my
hilarious.
goodness.
Also, I'm so jealous you live in Australia. I want to go there so freaking bad.
Really? Have you been here before?
No,
You gotta
I,
come.
I need to
You gotta
visit.
come.
I need
Where
to
would you
visit.
want to go? Like, where are your places?
I don't know. I think honestly, I haven't done a ton of research, but I don't know. I feel like the basic like Sydney. Where are you from?
I'm in Sydney. Yeah.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
probably like, is that where you like born and raised?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We're like, yes, in Sydney, but like we say Sydney, but literally it takes an hour for us to get from Sydney to Sydney, like from
Yeah.
outside of Sydney to into like Sydney center. Like it's
City. Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I'm from California, but I'm
Oh,
near San Francisco, which I
okay.
like. Yeah. Again, it's like I'm like 45 minutes from San Francisco, but
Yeah.
if you're not super familiar with California, then it's like I would just say San Francisco, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
suburbs. Like I'm kind of in like the wine country though, so there's a lot of like
Oh.
old retired people here. But I'm also born and raised here in my little farm town, Petaluma.
Oh
But
my God.
yeah,
Oh my God, that's so exciting. So where's your next stop, Ash? Like where would you like to be?
I don't know. Like living wise, I
Yeah,
think I love Tahoe. Have you ever heard of Tahoe?
I have.
Okay, it's like my little playground. Like it's
Yeah.
one, it's just so beautiful, but it has like snowboarding. It also has like a huge lake, so it has like wakeboarding, wake surfing. I'm like
Wow.
very, very into all of like those kinds of activities, and there's just like endless hikes, and it's just, it's such a vibe. But I don't know if I would be able to live in the snow. Like I like the
Yeah.
idea of it, but I'm like, would I
Yes.
actually be able to? I don't know.
That is so true. That is so
Yeah.
true. I only recently took up skiing, and it was because Brad, my now husband, he like is a ski bunny. He's born kind of into the family. His dad hates the cold, but his mum loved it, right? So I think it was when we first started dating, we went skiing for the first time. I'm like, oh my God, love it. Don't think
So
I could completely live in the snow though. Like,
yeah.
couldn't do it. I'm a
I know.
summer beach girl through and through.
I know. Like I try to like I think I try to convince myself I'm like, "Oh yeah, I could totally handle it."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm kind of a baby with the cold. And where I'm
Same.
from, it's like it doesn't like, it gets cold, but like I'm in California, it doesn't really like get super 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 hot or like super 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 cold. I kind of
Yeah.
like live in that in between. I feel like with global warming and stuff, it's definitely like, it's gotten
Ups.
a little hotter, but like
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I don't know if I could do it, but I love Tahoe, so maybe there. I don't know, but I'm
I
like,
love that.
it's so hard. Like my whole family's here. I'm really close with my niece and
Yeah.
nephew, so it's like it's kind of tough for me to want to leave.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I saw on your story your niece was at a gymnastics comp. How
Yeah,
amazing. I saw her do her flips and everything on the bar and I'm like,
I know.
how? I showed Brad and I'm like, what the heck? Like
I know.
this girl has more ability than I do.
Oh my God, I know. She's so funny. She's obsessed with it. So she's gotten really, really good, really, really fast, which is
Wow.
so cool to watch. But it's also like she's so hard on herself. And I'm like, Cora,
Oh,
you are 8 years old. Like,
oh,
it's okay.
yeah.
She's just like, yeah, she's just so hard on herself. And I feel like gymnastics is so intense. So I was a dancer
Mm,
growing up, but gymnastics is like it's a solo sport, where you're
yeah.
obviously have a team, but you're competing by yourself and there's like all these people watching. I just could imagine so much pressure, because with
Yeah.
dance it's like there's so many other people and it's like group and stuff. It's not just so focused on one single person. So just like
Mm,
props for you, Cora. Like go
yeah.
after it, girl,
I love that. That is so, I feel like that's such a good place to be. And coming from the angle of being her auntie and seeing how hard she is on herself, what are some tips, I guess, because like for so many women, we're so hard on ourselves. Like we
Yeah.
need to be better. We're not doing enough. So what would you recommend? Because it's like we're speaking to that inner child. So what would you recommend for people and women who are so hard on themselves?
Yeah, just because I myself went through this time period of college where I was so horrible to myself, I look back at my younger self and I'm like, I was so mean to her and it just like
Mm,
it breaks my heart. And to even think about even like my niece saying any of like even potentially close to things that I used to say to myself just breaks my heart. I
yeah.
think the biggest thing is forming a relationship with yourself. I think
Mm,
when we are so hard and so negative on ourselves, it's because we actually haven't like built a bond with ourselves. We're almost like
mm,
working against ourselves. And I think a big turning point for me in kind of my personal development was learning about self-love because I feel like sometimes it's kind of like a buzzword. People are like, "Oh, self-love, like that's so cheesy." But when it
yeah.
comes down to it, self love is just being your own biggest cheerleader. And life is just so much more fun when you are on your own side because it's
Mm,
like, I think, too, having these negative thoughts in your head, I think so many women don't even realize they're doing it. I know for me, when I was in college, I went through my, the, the reason I was so negative was I was having so many body changes
yeah.
and I didn't like recognize myself because being a dancer, it's like, I danced 5 hours a day, so it's like I could eat whatever I wanted. I would have like
Yeah.
junk food. I wasn't paying attention to nutrition at all. And then you go away to college and I stopped dancing, and then all of a sudden I started gaining weight. And I also, I partied so much too because I like had very strict parents. Shout out my mom, like love her. She's the best. Like she cares so much about me, but I
Yeah.
went crazy, like partying, drinking, all of the things. And so one, just alcohol on my brain at that point,
Mm,
it was just constant anxiety that I had never
yeah.
experienced before, constant negativity because I was so unhappy in my own body. But something that just really sparked my just kind of got me into the personal development world was reading this book, and it literally is called Skinny Bitch. I wouldn't recommend it. It convinces you to be vegan, but at that point in time, I was like, anything, I'll do anything to
Yeah.
be skinny, you
Yeah.
know? But this book touched on mindset, and I was like,
Mm.
whoa, I don't even know. I didn't even realize I was talking negatively to myself. Like, that was one of the points was like, you need to stop talking negatively to yourself and tell yourself that you can have, do, be whoever you want. And I was like, whoa. And then I started to
Mm.
notice my thoughts. And I was like, wow, I can just change how I think about myself. Like, it was mind blowing to me. I think
Mm.
being in the personal development space for so long now, you can forget those past versions of you and how you first got in. But it's something that's so simple of being aware of your thoughts and being able to reframe them in a positive way. So I think that is kind of the biggest thing is just talking to yourself and forming a relationship with yourself. And along the lines of forming a relationship with yourself too, I think doing things that light you up,
Mm.
finding things that you're truly passionate about is how you build a strong bond with yourself. Because I think, I don't know, just being a dancer, that was like kind of my identity. But after
Yeah.
that ended, I didn't know. I'm like, who am I? What do I like?
Mm.
What?
Mm.
I didn't understand myself for a period of time, and it just takes that time getting to know yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
finding hobbies and activities and things that, you know, make you who you are, but also forming that connection with yourself so you can truly love yourself and understand yourself to the fullest.
Absolutely. I think there are so many, I guess, high level tips out there. Like, I don't know, nothing's coming to the top of my head at the
Yeah.
moment, but there are so many high level tips, right? Like, you can do this for your mindset, you can do this to love yourself, but at the core, it's just about like forming that connection and essentially dating yourself to
Yeah.
really know who you are completely authentically. And I think that's so powerful to know. You speak about the book that you read, right? Do you
Yeah.
feel like that was a pivotal moment to stepping into who you are today as a mindset coach, but also as you are authentically?
Yeah, so I think that book, it kind of caught my attention because it's
Mm.
what I thought I wanted, but then it actually gave me what I needed.
Mm.
And so because that title was so captivating and I was like, that's what I want. Like obviously I didn't want to be a bitch, but I was like, I want to be skinny. Like please. Like I was like dying. I was like, please, I'll do anything. And I
Yeah.
had tried all of the diets and all of the things. And even though this book convinced me to be vegan, and I did, and it sparked my whole kind of self-development journey, starting off with kind of like losing weight, getting into health and fitness, um, it was really good for me because it touched on the mindset piece. Because, like I said, I
Mm.
had tried everything, but I was never
Yeah.
able to stick with any sort of quote unquote like diet plan. I don't even like to call it that, but I just embodied the shit out of a vegan. I was like, oh, I was like making it my whole personality. I was able to stick with it. But that was
Yeah.
like my first time of having like a true identity switch that I noticed helped me accomplish something that I wanted. And
Yeah.
so I definitely think that book was a pivotal moment. I, you know, speaking from as a holistic health coach, which was my previous job, but I would not recommend going vegan for
Yeah.
losing weight. I always just like to say that because I always tell people, you
Mm.
know, oh, this book got me to, you know, lose weight and like start focusing on my mindset, but I don't
Yeah.
recommend it. So sometimes I
No.
don't even like to share the title, but I think it's interesting how it's like, you know, you think you want something and then you end up getting something completely different from that, you know?
Absolutely. I feel like that's, even though that was exactly like what you wanted initially, you essentially like it's that thing of we start out like doing these sort of things because we think we want it, but then actually we find out all like the lessons in it and the obstacles within it, and it's
Absolutely.
so nourishing just to see like actually like looking back in hindsight how you just get what you need. And it's just
Mhm.
such a peaceful thing to turn that around and create that identity shift to go, no, like I'm at my core, like this is who I am. Take me as I am or leave it kind of thing. And I think that's
Yeah.
just a powerful way to be. I don't know if you can hear the dogs barking in the background, by the way.
Barely.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, no, I literally just heard one little bark.
It's probably the yapper. Anyway, someone's clearly outside. Yeah, I feel like that is just so beautiful, and I like it's comes to like pointing into light of like period coaching. Like some people think, oh, like I just need to have this quick fix for period, or like mindset, right? Like I just need this quick fix, and people want to get there quickly, but it's just about what is actually sustainable for you and what do you think actually matters for you, and
100%.
going forward with that. So I'd love to know what were the things that really, I guess, like sparked your interest into creating sustainable long-term change, but also what really were the things that lit you up on the path to where you are now?
Yeah, so, kind of going back to what we were talking about, where, you know, giving people, a lot of people came to me as a holistic health coach, as they wanted to lose weight.
Yeah.
And I realized that wanting to lose weight is not actually fixing the thing that you want fixed,
Mm,
even if you don't know it, because I was like,
yes.
ooh, being skinny is going to make me confident. Having the body that I want is going to make me confident. And I learned the hard way that relying on external things to make you feel differently is
Oh,
never going to actually make you feel differently. You actually have
yeah.
to change from the inside. And one of my really hard lessons was I auditioned I auditioned for pro dance teams and then
Mm,
later became a 49er cheerleader, so just like a professional dancer,
wow.
which was an amazing experience. But I remember being like, oh my gosh, okay, as soon as I lose weight, I'm going to have the confidence that I want. As
Mm,
soon as I become a 49er cheerleader, I'm going to have the confidence that I want. And I remember walking into practice, the first ever practice, surrounded by like 39 other beautiful, gorgeous, talented women. And I was like, okay, confidence. Hello. How are
kick
you?
in.
Like, yeah, it's supposed to be happening, right? Like, I'm here, I made it.
Yeah.
And that was like a really eye-opening experience for me to be like, no matter what I achieve in this world, it's never going to fix the thing that I want, whether it is body, even
Mhm.
money, even, whatever your goal may be. It's so important to heal that from the inside. And I think in terms of being sustainable, that's exactly how you create sustainable long-term change is not so focused on the external. When you're only
Yeah.
focusing on the end goal and the external, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be able to stick with it. It's about figuring out how to enjoy the journey,
Mm,
which is why I actually kind of transitioned from holistic health coaching to mindset. It's all wrapped up in there
mm,
where, it's not fixing, like
yes.
having the body you want isn't actually fixing the thing, but
Yes.
also enjoying your journey to reaching your goals, I think is so powerful. And, we were in Solid Mastermind
Mm,
together, and doing nervous system regulation just helped that so much because so
yeah.
many of us, we're only focusing on the end goal. We're only focusing on the end goal.
Yeah.
And guess what? The end goal is exciting and fun for like, okay, maybe a day max. And then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, on to the next thing. And that was the same thing with like weight loss, where it's like, okay, and I learned this from personal experience and saw clients doing this where it's like, okay, got my goal weight. Okay, let's keep going. I want it to be
Mm,
thinner and thinner and thinner.
yeah.
So again, it was like you're just chasing this dragon and this like never ending feeling when you can actually have that feeling right now. Like you can
Mm,
have confidence at any weight. I will say I do believe that it's important to take care of your body and nourish your body so you can feel good, but
yeah.
you can have any kind of feeling that you want. You just have to start with that first, and it's going to make your journey so much more enjoyable, and you're going to be able to sustain whatever habit, whatever it is that you actually want to long term.
Yeah, I think it's so exciting just to know that, like, even from today, you can change. You can essentially fall into, your own alter ego, however you wish to choose, and just go, okay, like I'm a rich bitch, or okay, like I'm free, like, or okay, I feel safe to be myself, or whoever you want to be, whatever feeling you're chasing. I think it's so powerful to know that you can literally do it right now. And I even know that on my journey, like as I'm listening to you, I'm reflecting, I'm like, yeah, there are so many things, like especially, and I've spoken a lot about this on the podcast of I used to be a swimmer, I used to be an athlete, and I always used to believe that if I made it in my sport, then I'd be enough. But it's like you're never going to be enough, right? So like I started doing the mindset work. Like I was aware of it, but then I was like, well, how do I actually change it? So then when I actually went on to the deep inner core work, that's when I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the journey as I am right now. Like I feel safe to be who I am right now. I feel authentic. And then the nervous system regulation that we did in the mastermind just like tipped it off. Like it
Yeah.
was phenomenal. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I would love to know though, because sustainable doesn't often have like this sexy appeal to it. So how do we make sustainable like in focusing on the journey? Because sometimes it can sound so cliche. Like, yeah, enjoy the journey, enjoy the journey. How do we actually do that? Plus, how do we make it sexy?
Yeah, yeah. So, something I've been focusing on that has been a complete game changer. It might not be sexy, but it's fun. Focusing on actually having fun
Mm,
every single day because
yeah.
I think there's so many women, especially that just they live for the weekends. They're like, okay, I'm just gonna get my shit done this week and just like work, 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 put my head down and grind, and then the weekend I'll enjoy myself. And
Mm,
that creates imbalance in itself. But
yeah.
if you can actually find joy in your day to day, like for example, I think about when I was building up my health and fitness business. I was probably the unhealthiest I had been in a long time because I was not taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I was just like locking myself down to this seat right here and just forcing myself to be at a computer all day when it's like I quit my corporate job to be able to have the freedom. So why am I
Isn't it
forcing myself?
ironic?
Yeah, like
Literally.
why am I working way more and forcing myself to sit at this desk all day?
Yeah.
And so in the last 6 months, I've actually kind of learned in another course that she recommended a joy protocol. And like,
Mm.
you know what? I don't know. Sometimes these things just sound so cheesy. And I'm just like, I roll like joy. And I hate saying that being a mindset coach, but like just saying it out
Oh,
loud sometimes I'm like, it can sound so cheesy, but
yeah.
every single day I write down 3 things that bring me joy and 3 things that are
Mm,
going to make me happy that I can do. So
yeah.
whether that's like enjoying
Mm,
my coffee and reading a book, it doesn't have to be something extravagant like
yeah.
you know, going somewhere. It could be like lighting a candle and reading a book for 20 minutes, taking my dog on a walk and grabbing coffee. Or, even for me, I'm recently into golf, so even going to the driving range for an hour or something like that. Like just adding little things
Yeah.
in your day to make every single day enjoyable so you don't just, oh yeah, I'll just like wait for the weekend and then I'll enjoy my
Yeah.
life then. Like that is like a very small percentage of your life. We have so many working days in our
Yeah.
lives, and it's so important to be able to find the joy in it because that's how you're going to
Mm,
create sustainability, which again, I know is not sexy, but it's actually the thing that's going to get you there. So it's like constantly I ask myself this question, how can I make this more fun? Like with whatever I'm doing, whether it's work, whether it's chores around the house, it's like, how
mm,
can I make this more enjoyable for myself? And then I think that mixed with the nervous system regulation because
yeah.
if you are dysregulated, like I was before joining this mastermind,
Yeah.
I couldn't even fill up my water without being like, oh my god, this is taking too much time. Like, how can I multitask? I'm like, ooh, I'll listen to
Yes.
a podcast while I'm filling my water bottle up. Like,
Oh
just
my God.
it's like insane how dysregulation can cause just havoc and cause you to rush and cause you to only focus on the end goal as well because you're just trying to rush to get to the end instead of being able to just truly like sit and enjoy the journey. So
Mm.
that I think the fun piece has been so game changing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, for context, Ashley shared that the water bottle example in the last, I think it was the last call,
Yeah, I
hey,
think it's the last
of
call.
our, yeah, of Solid. And we were just, everyone pretty much felt like, it was like, oh, that is so fucking relatable. Like, fuck if that wasn't me. Like, absolutely. Can you talk about, I'd want to know, are there any other examples from like pre-Solid and pre-Mastermind to now of like dysregulation versus regulation, but
For
also
sure.
like prioritizing fun too?
Yeah, honestly, before tuning in and regulating my nervous system, even like my aura, I have an aura ring and it tracks like
Mm.
HRV, your resting heart rate. Oh my God. I was like, my body was so stressed out, and I was so confused because, sometimes being in the personal development space, I'm like,
Yeah.
I do my work, like I go to therapy, like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
stressed, like
Mm-hmm.
what, like why, like these number, like the math ain't mathin', like this does
Girl,
not make
yeah.
any sense to me. Regulated my nervous system, and now, like, just seeing the physical effects and how it has impacted my sleep, but just my day to day and how
Mm,
I feel is insane. Um, but also just being able, I said this on our solid mastermind call too, but golf, I used to hate golf. I was like, "Ugh, this is so boring. Like, I need a podcast in, or I need music or something. Like, I couldn't just like be, because I
yeah.
would like be like, all right, guys, like, let's just get through it, okay? And now that I can actually relax and just, I'll like sit in the golf cart while I'm waiting for my, boyfriend or dad or friends or whatever, I just can like sit and enjoy the scenery, instead
Mm,
of being like, oh my God, like, okay, like, let's go. Like, I just want to hit my ball. Like, let's keep moving. It essentially, like, I was rushing through my whole life. And it's like, when you
yes.
rush through your whole life, like, what is that giving you?
Mm,
Absolutely nothing.
yeah.
It's like, just being able to slow down and appreciate and be grounded has like drastically changed my life.
Yeah.
I would just rush to go to the gym. I would rush to go on a walk. I would rush to fill up my water bottle, rush to get to the end of the workday, only to rush and sit down and watch TV, to rush upstairs before bed and go to sleep. It was just like this constant feeling of like I don't know, just this constant feeling of feeling rushed
Yeah.
24/7 and
Yeah.
feeling like there's never enough time. And
Yes.
that was like mentally exhausting.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like that's a very consistent theme. Feel like a lot of us feel that because it's like there's so many things that we want to get done as modern women. Like we've got our work, we have our career ambitions, we've got our relationship goals, we want to spend time, we want to be present, we want to build ourselves up so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. But if we are consistently rushing, like you're not going to enjoy the fruits of your labor like ever. It's just always going to be the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So you really have like over these last few months really prioritized your mindset, your nervous system, and essentially elevating your energy. I know you speak about fun. I know you speak about like that presence and just being like where your feet are essentially. But do you have any, I guess, other tips to balance everything and dance between everything as we do have a lot going on?
Yeah. So I really like structured discipline
Hmm. Hmm.
because sometimes I don't like, I've just gone so far on one side of the discipline scale that I burned
Yeah.
myself out so bad. And so I really like to have structured discipline. I also like to use my intuition
Hmm.
to be able to guide me with what I want to do. And I do realize that I do feel very lucky that since I own my own business, I do have so much more flexibility in my schedule. But for me personally, like I have to put everything in a calendar. I time
Yeah.
block just to make sure I actually have the time. Because I think everyone's like, oh, I have all these things I want to get done. But it's like, are you actually allocating the time to get it
Yes.
done? Even
Yeah.
fun. I will put golf in my calendar. I
Yeah.
will put like my walks in my calendar. I'll put getting ready in my calendar. And some people
Yeah.
might think that's overkill, but that's how I stay on top of everything.
Yeah.
Um, so that is something, and something that I've been implementing recently is intuitive movement. God,
Mm.
especially coming from very masculine energy personal training certificate where they're like you
Yeah.
have to do structured workouts. I always felt this like this doesn't feel right to me, but I
Yeah.
never I don't know. I guess I just felt like other people in the industry knew more than me. And so I just like kind of felt silly going against the grain.
Yeah.
And that I haven't been this obsessed with working out since I started working out. So
Mm.
every single morning I meditate and I ask my mind and I ask my body what feels good to me today
Yeah.
in terms of moving my body. And so I will use that to actually, determine if I go do a strength training workout, if I go for a run, like whatever it is that I need. That's something that has been really, really helpful for me and has really helped me be sustainable with working out. But I think overall, it's about figuring out a schedule and a plan that works for you. If you
Mm,
try to do what I do, it might not
mm,
work. And so it's
yeah.
about figuring out you at your core, what actually feels good to you. And that actually might take some trial and error. And
Mm,
also, I think leaning into your intuition can really help too. I think so
yeah.
many of us think we need to do things a certain way because maybe we see some influencer or even like our mentor, and we're like, "Oh, I have to do it that way," instead of
Yeah.
like tuning into ourselves and being like, how can I make this work for myself and my schedule and my likes and dislikes? I also think in terms of, you know, having time for everything, being
Mm,
selfish. I think
yeah.
being selfish is so important.
Yeah.
I think so often, you know, we want to put ourselves on the back burner,
Mm,
and the more we can set boundaries, do the things that we actually want to do, so we can, say no to the things that we don't want to do, so we can make more room. So we can make more room for the things that we truly do want to do is also going to be so powerful, because there's so many things that us
oh,
as women do.
yeah.
We're like, oh, I should go to this because XYZ, when it's like, do you really have to do that?
Yeah.
And so setting boundaries is also just such a big one, and being able to say no to things that you don't want to do and stepping into your selfish era.
Yes, such amazing tips. And I even, like, as a mum, I'm leaning into my empowered selfishness because if I do not show up and for myself first, what kind of mother like am I going to be? I'm not going to be the best version of myself. And I know because like now we're 5 months postpartum, there have been days where, like she has come first and that's totally like absolutely she's my child.
Yeah.
But I notice the difference between myself, between my level of patience, between just how I'm able to respond to her and just show her the amount of love that I actually want to give to her. There's a major difference between the two. So when I actually prioritize, like for example, this morning, she slept until I think it was 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I got up at 5 and I did my morning routine. I didn't feel rushed. Like I prioritized whatever I get done within this time is perfect because I am such a stickler like pre having her. I was always in the sense of like not rushing through my morning routine. Like I'm prioritizing my energy, but lately I'm trying to balance her as well as working. So it's really been a bit of a test and a bit of a challenge. And like I will admit, I've felt like, oh, like I feel like I need a rush to get to my desk. So I really felt like I feel regulated, I feel at peace, like I'm feeling good. And there's such a difference between my mindset now versus when I do have a rush morning, when I do feel like, oh, like I just need to hurry up and go through it.
Totally.
How, like, I want to know as well, like, because it can feel like there are so many people around you, especially if you don't have a family, say, for example, that are into this that's into this sort of work. So how did you really lean into your intuition and into your selfishness to really essentially glow up into who you want to be?
Yeah, this is a great question. And I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Me too.
For so long, actually, as a side note, too, I just have to say, like, I'm so inspired by you. Just
Oh,
being a mom, like 5 months postpartum, just seeing you crush it and show up, like, you're so inspiring to me. And
thank
I only
you.
have a dog. Like, I am like, I need to step my shit up right now. Tamara's like crushing it. And she
Oh,
has a baby, and I need to, yeah. So I just want you to know I'm very, very inspired by you.
thank you so much. And I have a lot of help. So I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, of course, of course. Um, but yeah, I think, being a recovering people pleaser, for so long, I put everyone else's needs above
Mhm.
mine, especially just, toxic ex-boyfriends,
Yes.
just like not even thinking about myself and just doing
Mhm.
everything, just kind of being the peacekeeper, which growing up, it was kind of always my role, is I was the peacekeeper. And so, obviously so many things happen. We get so many of our traits from childhood.
Yeah.
And so I think that took me a really long time to be able to kind of rewire my brain to say, okay, no, I'm actually going to put myself first. Um, and honestly, it wasn't that easy. It took time
Mhm.
and it took practice to be able to set boundaries. But this book I read, it wasn't the most exciting book in the whole entire world. There were so many good tips in there. It's called Set Boundaries, Find Peace.
Oh,
And that book, I'm not sure what the author was, but
yeah.
so many amazing tips in there. And I feel like that really helped me be okay with setting boundaries because
Mm,
I think it's hard with your family. You know, obviously, like they love you no matter what, but those are almost the hardest people to set boundaries with.
yeah.
At least for me, it was. And so I had to really just continue to practice setting boundaries. So, and then over time, I feel like I just slowly started to put myself first and put myself first. But yeah, I think it just takes time and it takes actually practice. You can't just like, read the book and then or listen to the book on Audible and then not, put anything into practice. You have to
Yeah.
have real world experience to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other things to step into your selfish era. I
I
think
think
it
it's,
really comes down to self-care, Like
yeah.
self-care is not just bubble baths and reading books, It's about putting yourself first and setting boundaries. And
Mm,
I think when you have full unconditional self-love for yourself, you are okay if people are upset with you,
yeah.
Because I think that's a lot of the reason why people please is because they don't want the other person to be upset with them.
Yeah.
But I actually just heard this the other day that like blew my freaking mind, and it said that people pleasing is manipulative because you're trying to get the person to you're
Mm,
changing who you are at your core and doing something different than you would have wanted to do to get a different reaction from the other person. And I was like, whoa, like that just blew my
yeah.
mind. I wish I would have heard that years ago, but
Yes.
I think it's like an interesting thing to think about. And it's like, okay, yeah, people pleasing is manipulative. So put yourself first. You can be true to yourself.
Absolutely. I think that is such a just a pivotal nugget there for people to re-listen to and re-listen to again. Like save that on as a quote
Yeah.
on your lock screen. My goodness. There's something actually that I want to add, and what really helped me to move out of my people pleaser state was just thinking about, I was pregnant at the time, so I was really thinking about my future daughter, and I was like, I really want to step myself up, like step up and be the example for her. So like, even if you don't have children, it's just about thinking in that sort of perspective of, would you be okay with being a mother? And even if you don't want to have children, like just being an example for your nieces, your nephews, like whoever is around you, that you can essentially be that example, be that inspiration for, like, and just really sitting back and and auditing kind of thing of,
Totally.
are you actually being the example and stepping into your power? Because people pleasing is another way of just leaking your energy and leaking your power. Yeah, I want to know just an example, if you have it off the top of your head, of an example of when you didn't follow through in your intuition versus when you actually did, and what you noticed, like what were your lessons that came from it?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So, one big thing that I have been ignoring for a long time and just recently, like in the last 3 months, maybe 4, 5 months, I've wanted to be a mindset coach
Yeah.
since the beginning, probably, but
Hmm.
I had so many people in my ears, especially because I got just some for some content. I just for some context, I got my personal training certificate, and then I
Yeah.
immediately joined this business mentorship
Hmm.
that I they like I love them because they helped me quit my corporate job,
Yeah.
but it was very one-sided, and they're
Yeah.
very opinionated, which, as you should be, stand in your
Mm,
power, go off, but like it didn't allow me to have just creativity in my own business. It was like, no,
mm,
this is how you do it. Here's the
yeah.
structure, just do it. And that's how
Yeah.
you're going to make money. And I was like,
Yeah.
fair enough. Okay. And
Mm,
yeah, again, like it didn't allow me that creativity. And I just remember so specifically one of my mentors there saying, you can't sell mindset coaching. Like people don't want to have good mindset. They want to look hot. They want to look sexy. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And I'm like,
Hmm.
And so again, since I was newer into the self-development world, I didn't have, I wasn't true enough to myself and have the confidence enough in myself to be like, no, you're wrong. And so that
Yeah.
kind of stuck with me for a long time, that belief. And even in 2023, I went through this year of just being very not happy. I
Hmm.
had built my health and fitness business like up to its peak. It was like doing amazing, like making more money than I ever could have imagined. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like, I self-sabotage and my business just started to like slowly dwindle down, and I didn't know what to do. And I thought that was a sign. I was like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to do mindset coaching. And so
Mm,
I started to do I like dipped my toe in, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try it. But then I was like, you know what, no, I'm gonna, since people don't want just mindset coaching, they
yeah.
also want like to look hot, so I'm gonna add like health and fitness like piece of it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and then I got scared. I got scared, and I
Mm,
went back to health and fitness coaching. So it was like this back and forth, and
yeah.
I knew deep down in my intuition, I was like, you need to do mindset coaching. This is what you're so good at, because
Yeah.
I love getting vulnerable. I love just going deep with people and figuring out how their brain works. And with health and fitness coaching, you know, I tried to do that with people, but then
Yeah.
some clients were like, "Oh my God, yes, like you're going above and beyond." But other clients are like, "Whoa, like you're not my
Yeah.
therapist," you know? So it was like I couldn't
Yes.
actually, I wasn't being fulfilled in the way that I wanted to. But finally, like, yeah, 5 months ago, I was like, you know what? No, I'm switching to mindset coaching. I'm I'm taking charge, and I'm not listening to what other people say.
Yeah.
Even people like that are close to me in my family, they don't get mindset. They're like, people can get health and fitness, you
Mm,
know. They're like, oh, nutrition, weight loss. People get that. But when you
yeah.
talk about mindset, they're like, oh, mental health, like,
Mm,
you know. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're not in this world of self development. But
yeah.
it was really hard for me to like let go of other people's opinions about it. And now, after joining, you know, Solid, and I also joined this other money mindset course, I was like, whoa, there's so many. It just like opened my eyes to so many
Yeah.
other mindset coaches. Part of me felt like I was just like such an odd man out.
Hmm.
But then joining these programs, like, oh my gosh, there's so many different types of coaches and people making so much money and being so fulfilled and doing what they love. So that was, and I think the lesson for me was listen to your intuition or your life will be at a
Yeah.
standstill. Because it was like
Yeah.
I was just going in circles for like a year and a half. And
Yeah.
once I finally listened, it almost was like this weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I've never
Yes.
been happier. I've never felt just more authentically myself either.
Mm,
And so, following your intuition, I feel like it just makes you who you're meant to be. When you
yeah.
tap into that, you're able to step into your authentic self, which
Mm,
is something that has been really hard for me my whole life.
yeah.
Authenticity is something that I feel like is like my whole life's journey, is like actually figuring out who I am. So, yeah, using my intuition as a guide has been so powerful. And I almost feel like it's like a cheat code. It's like
Yeah.
you get to do the things that you want and also enjoy it at the same time when you listen to your intuition, instead of like fighting against what you think you should do versus like what your grandma wants you to do, or like
Yeah.
whoever. You're like actually listening to your own guidance, which I think is so powerful.
But it's even like your intuition, your body literally knows, like your body literally knew you're meant to do mindset coaching. So when you were going against that, it was like, well, you're not fulfilled. You're not
Yeah.
feeling this. Like you're not feeling happy. Like, and
Yeah.
then when you actually unveiled the curtain and stepped into that, you've never felt happier. You've never felt more at peace. And it is a cheat code because, yes, it feels so hard to be your authentic version of you. But when you fully step into it and go all in, it actually feels tangibly so easy because
Yeah.
you're like, your mind is clear, your body is clear. You don't have this facade up and you don't have this mask up. You're just being you. And it's like, huh, like, why wasn't I doing this that whole time?
Yeah.
Like, I
Totally.
even know from Solid as well, like, I was going through the like decision of do I stick with more like feminine energy and sensuality? And I'm still doing that within my programs, but it's just like the front side, the marketing side is more period and health coaching. And making that decision, I have never felt more clear and at peace
Yeah.
in my business. And it's just amazing to think that, oh my God, like, why didn't I make that sooner? Like, why didn't I just make it so much easier for myself? Because it's just like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
life is so good now.
Totally. It's just like you're working against yourself when you're not listening to your intuition.
Hmm.
And it always, there's going to be resistance because it might be going against the grain or going against
Yeah.
what maybe like even in your brain thinks is safe. But once you do, it's just like, like a weight is just lifted
Yeah.
off of your shoulders and everything just like makes sense and it clicks.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing that I want to add that I like from what you were saying is you got in the room. You got in the room where people were actually allowing you to listen to yourself, listen to your body, and listen to your intuition, like strengthening that rather than just saying, here's a structure and just follow that because that worked for us. So it's going to work for you. Like it just doesn't work that way. So, yeah, I really love that. Like, I think investing in yourself is such a powerful hack to
Oh my
getting to where
gosh,
you want to
yeah.
go so much quicker.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And even for me, I've invested in so many mentors, and
Hmm.
it took me time to figure out the
Yes.
one that I feel really, really connected to.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think investing in yourself can be a push outside of your comfort zone, but on
Mm.
the other side of investing in yourself is massive change,
Yeah.
like mind-blowing change, especially when you find the right mentor in or the right program. Because I think again, like it took me some time to figure out like the right types of programs and the right
Yeah.
mentorship and mentors, but now that I'm here, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it was leading me to get to this point in my
Yeah.
life. And everything happens at the perfect time. And so even though I was ignoring my intuition for like a year and a half, maybe I just like, maybe that version of me wasn't ready yet. And so I kind
Mm.
of had to like go through this self discovery and really work on myself before I was able to really listen to my intuition. But yeah, intuition is just so powerful. And I just love that it's like you can actually feel the sensation in your body. Like
Yeah.
I will literally ask myself a question, and if it's a yes, like I'll get all tingly up here, and if it's a no, it's like this
Mm.
feeling in my gut. And so it's
Yeah.
like you don't have to just rely on like your brain. It's like your body's literally telling you. You just one, I do think you have to be regulated to be able to feel that
Yes.
part of you.
Yes.
And two, you have to form a connection with your body as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so powerful. For me, it's like I actually feel a yes and a pull in my heart and my gut, and a no, I feel like it's like heavy in my head. It's so
Mm,
powerful and it's so interesting just to know like we have and are experiencing different visceral responses from our answers that our body gives us. And it's just
yeah.
amazing when you like actually tune in to
Yeah,
yourself.
totally. But that's the thing too is like, yeah, you have to give yourself the space to listen too. I think
Mm,
so often, we've got social media, we've got like text message, like we just have constant stimulation. And when you're
yeah.
constantly stimulated, you're not going to be able to have these intuitive pings or be able to tune into your body. You actually have to create the space in order to be able to listen. And it is
Yeah.
still learning your body, like you had to learn that, it feels heavier in your head when it's more of
Yeah.
a no. And like I had to learn that in my gut is where it was. So it's like taking that time to even full circle from the beginning forming a relationship with yourself and your body.
Yes.
Like just getting to know yourself at such a deep level will help
Yeah.
you in so many different ways in life.
Yeah. What I want to know, like within your day to day, what are some things like run us through your timeline of your day, like your morning routine? And like obviously it's going to change from day to day, but just like a typical day, your morning routine and what you typically do for fun, like aside from golf and everything you've
Yeah.
just said, and just lean us down the path of like some mindset tips of like, especially if you like something doesn't go your way, like if you
Yeah.
snooze through your alarm or like you miss your alarm or something happens that you're like, fuck, I've had a shit start to the day.
Yeah.
What are some mindset tips to turn us around, but also how you prioritize regulation and fun, like what that looks like personally for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I love routines. I'm
Mhm.
like a big diehard routine girly. I just think they're
Yes.
so fun. And one thing too I will just say is I think so many people get bored of their routines and they're like, oh, like I just gotta stay consistent. And it's like, no, you don't. Switch it
Yeah.
up. If something's not feeling good to you or feeling exciting to you, switch it up a little bit. So I switch it up, but for the last couple months, it's been pretty consistent where I wake up and I actually listen to a guided meditation in bed. I'm not one of those people that falls asleep in, like, I won't go back to sleep. If I'm awake, like, my brain is like I'm up, you know?
She's ready to
Like,
go.
yeah, yeah, honestly, I've been waking up at like 4:30 a.m. with this time change, and it's just like, I'm like, okay, come on, brain, let's just go to sleep for a little bit longer. Come on. But no, I actually listen to a meditation in bed just because your brain is at such a relaxed state when you
Oh, yeah.
first wake up. And so being able to bypass your conscious mind and go straight to your subconscious mind is so powerful for just habits, routines, who you are as a person, and what you want to believe. So I listen to a guided meditation, and then I get up, brush my teeth. I tried to put on a workout outfit, but
Yeah.
recently I like being in my robe because it's been so cold and it's been so dark
Oh,
lately. So I'm like, I'm
yes.
just gonna stay in my robe for a little bit.
Yes.
But then I always do a non-guided meditation. So I think there's power in both guided and non-guided, but
Yeah.
with the non-guided, and I honestly probably before regulating my nervous system, I was not able to do it for long periods of time. So I
Yeah.
do about 10 to 15 minutes and I put a frequency on and I will just sit and I'll either set an intention and be like, okay, if I have a certain question that I need an answer to, I'll try to kind of like tap into my
Yeah.
intuition. Sometimes I'll have a conversation with my future self, be like, hey, what do
Oh,
I need to know? You know, like,
yeah.
is there anything that I like needs to be told to me or anything else that needs to come in for me? Or I'll just try to kind of like maybe say a couple of affirmations just to kind of like be present. So that is honestly so powerful for your intuition if you give yourself that space. I only do 10 or 15 minutes, but
Yeah.
for someone who could never, like, I used to hate meditation. I would do like a minute and I'd be like, okay, well, my brain isn't stopping, so I'm just not, like, this just doesn't work for me, you know?
I can't meditate. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
it.
I'm like, sorry, not for me. It just doesn't work. And honestly, now is the first time in my life where I actually truly enjoy it and I actually truly look forward to it. It's just so calming and so peaceful.
Yeah.
And then I do a little journaling. Also, I
Mm.
just want to say too, I'm like intense with my routines because I truly love this stuff. If
Yeah.
you're just starting out or dabbling in the personal development world, don't think that you need to do all of these things because
Yes.
I went through a period of time where I just like all I could do was guided meditation and that's like all I could handle. Or sometimes I didn't even do any of these things and I just would go for a walk or something like that and listen to
Yeah.
music. It doesn't have to stay the same and you don't have to do all of these things. I'm just
Yeah.
like a weirdo and I just love all these things. Also, don't have a child or anything, so I have the time to do this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I do a little journaling prompt where I'll either one write out kind of like a brain dump if I have something on my mind or if something came through for me in my meditation, I'll kind of
Yeah.
like just write it out to get it out of my brain. And then I do a couple of different things. Sometimes I'll write down my goals just because I like to see it visually on paper. Sometimes I'll write down some affirmations that I feel like I need to hear. Like maybe I have like a podcast interview and I'm like, oh, I want to be
Yeah.
confident, you know, like all right, I am confident or whatever it may be. I'll
Yeah.
kind of like write down whatever I need to hear. Like if I need to be reminded of my goals, I'll write down my goals. If I need to hear some affirmations, I'll do that. I
Yeah.
also write down gratitude. I think gratitude is really, really powerful. And even talking through this, it probably sounds like, oh, she's journaling for 20 minutes. This is literally a 5-minute journaling
Yeah. Yeah.
situation. Like it's not long at all. And then I typically either do some work, like kind of do some writing.
Mm.
I actually love writing, and so I just wanted to prioritize it. And it's just
Yeah.
like such a vibe in the dark. I'm like in my robe, and I have my little like salt rock lamp on,
Oh,
and I
yes.
it's like such a vibe. So I'll do a little bit of writing for whatever I need to, and then I'll go downstairs. I'm an oatmeal girly. I freaking love oatmeal recently. So that's been like so, especially with the cold, it's just like so cozy. So
Yes.
I'll do that and usually take my dog for a walk and work out shortly after that.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of my mindset work kind of in the mornings just to make
Yeah.
sure I get it done. And then fun throughout the day, it just depends on my schedule.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll go for a walk in the middle of the day, like something just to
Mm,
kind of like ground me and relax me.
yeah.
Um, there's also this app. I use two different apps. The Higher
Yeah.
Self app is one, which I love. It
Mm.
has like subconscious reprogramming and also a bunch of guided meditations. Then the other one is Superhuman.
Oh,
And this one actually has like walking meditations. So if I need like a little pick me up in my
yes.
mind, I'll do like a walking meditation or something like that. Um, Sometimes I'll just take a break and like tan outside and read a book.
I love
Like
that.
it's like so simple, but it's so nice to kind of break up the day. And then my evening routine, all I really do is I take a vibey shower. So I have a salt
Mm.
rock lamp in my bathroom and
Yes.
I turn all the lights off and just have that on.
Oh
I'll
my
put on either some frequency or some like
God.
vibey soft music. Sometimes I like sad music too. I just think it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
fun. Just like be
I'm
all
in
good.
my own music video here. I gotta
Yeah,
feel the feels.
yeah. Literally, yes. Oh my gosh. I know. I was listening to some sad music the other day, and my boyfriend's like, "Are you okay?" Like, I'm like,
I'm just going
"Yes."
through a babe.
I'm like, "No, I'm good actually.
Yeah.
I just like, love pretending to be sad for a second. Just gotta let it out, you know."
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The girls who get it, get it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I remember I told one of my friends one time, I was like, yeah, sometimes when I run, I listen to sad music. It's just like motivating. She's like, that is
Yeah.
so depressing. And then another person was like, oh my God, yeah, it's like almost more
Yeah.
motivating for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, thank
Like,
you.
oh, like running through the emotions, like, mm.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I should really just end it with a vibey shower and I read a book. Like
I
that's
love that.
pretty it. If I'm like feeling really dysregulated, I'll do some sort of like little meditation, but I don't force
Mm,
myself to do that. I kind of do a
yeah.
lot of that in the mornings.
Yeah, it's very intuitive based. And I love listening to other people's routines, not so I can mimic and copy it, but like take inspiration, like, oh, I love that. Oh, I'm going to make it into my own little formula or my own little spell. Do you know what I mean? And I love that you added that. But just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. I think that's so important just to work out when you're most productive, what you want to do, like what your season of life is right now, and what is actually your priority, and making that work. I in my like business mastermind that I have for life, so I was redoing some of the content, and what she suggested was, like if I've got a busy season, I'll get up and smash out an hour or two of work. And so on some days, I'll actually do that so I can get ahead and I feel productive and I can actually be more and feel more present with Octavia, my daughter. So that way, like we can spend more time in the morning together. So it really is something that, like, just taking some inspiration and making it work for you. I would love to know as well, what's one tip that you have for women, like if they are having, like if you were to have like a shit morning or like a shit start to the day,
Oh yeah.
what is like something that works for you to turn yourself around?
So, one thing I really do is I really try to feel into my emotions. Like, if I'm upset
Hmm.
about something, I really let
Yeah.
myself feel it. Obviously, sometimes at work, you can't just,
Yes.
I'm just gonna go have a quick cry. Like,
I'm gonna go have an anger release now.
yeah, like, I'm just gonna go punch a chair for a sec. I don't know. So it's like you gotta, depending on where you're at, but I
Yeah.
try to feel the emotion as much as I can,
Yes.
just because if you're just gonna suppress it, it's gonna come out eventually. So you
Oh
might
yeah.
as well just try to feel it as much as you can. And then I ask myself, okay, what do I need in this moment? What's gonna make me feel better? And
Mm,
depending on what happened, that really does change, depending on what the situation is. But, you know, a lot of times I use guided meditations. Like I just think they're such a powerful tool and there's so many different types of guided meditations that you can
yeah.
use. But sometimes if I'm like angry, it's like, okay, maybe I'm going to go for like a run or something like that.
Mm,
If I'm like sad about something, I'll try to like journal out my feelings. It's like I try to find the right tool for the right job and I think that
yes.
starts with kind of just awareness and just
Mm,
self-questioning of like, okay, why am I feeling this way? What is it that what's going to make me feel better in this moment. And again, I totally recognize that not everyone could just pause and be like, I'm just going to go journal for a second in the middle of the day,
Mm,
but just doing it as soon as you can,
yes.
um, I think is really powerful. And I think it's like really important to find the right tool, because
Yeah.
sometimes if like my brain's all over the place, I can't sit down and meditate. That's not going to
Yeah.
work for me.
Yeah.
It's like tuning in and being like, okay, my brain is going crazy. Okay, maybe I just need to like go out for a walk and just like not have any
Mm,
headphones in at all, or you know, anything along those lines. But finding the right tool for the right job, because just because, and you again, it takes like trial and error, because I
yeah.
think so many people are like, meditation doesn't work for me because my brain's going crazy. It's like, okay, maybe that wasn't the right time to use meditation, or maybe you need
Yeah.
more practice. There's like so many different factors that can kind of impact that.
Yeah, I seriously love what you said about like if I'm angry, I'm going to do this. If I'm sad, I'm going to do this. I think that's so underrated. And I'm actually, it's just about, I'm actually feel like I'm going to create a list of like literal tools of like angry. This is what I can do. Sad, this is what I can do. Like, I think that's so tangible for people to just go, like, this is what I'm feeling right now. Okay, what's my go to? Because sometimes you're like, I'm in this emotion. I can't get out of it. And then you don't know what you need to do to get out of it. Because, say, like, you meditate and you're like, oh, nothing's working. And then you end up
Mm-hmm.
just spiraling further down and further down. Yeah,
Totally.
so good. So good.
Yeah.
We're getting into our kind of like quick fire rapid to
Ooh,
end
love
the
it.
kind of podcast. So,
Yeah.
three quick fire questions and then we'll finish up. So, I'd love to know what's your go to self care ritual?
Ooh. My favorite thing is either getting a facial or a massage if I have like the capacity. Like I really love massages and facials and stuff like that. They're just so
Yeah.
relaxing. I also go to this one lady, facialist. She like does a whole guided meditation with the facial,
Oh,
and it's like it's such a vibe. So if
yeah.
I have the capacity, I will do that. I think I'm trying to think of like one other thing that is like a little bit more like I could do just like at home. Honestly, even just like hot chocolate in a book, like something
Oh,
so
yes.
simple and just like cozy like that, I love.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is so good. I love them. What's one health product that at the moment you cannot live without?
Ooh. Honestly, probably my protein powder ritual.
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed with it. It's like vegan protein powder.
Yes.
I don't eat dairy, so
Yeah.
I am obsessed with it. The brand, it just feels really good on my stomach. I think, especially since protein powder is processed, you're
Yeah.
like being particular with what you put in your body. So yes, definitely my protein powder. I use it every day.
Love. Okay, last question. What's something you've recently learned that has absolutely changed the way you live?
Honestly, I know we kind of already covered this, but just
Mhm.
adding joy into my day. I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, I get to have fun on every single day. It doesn't just have to be the weekends. Oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
is crazy. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
Oh my God, I love that. And it just like takes you back to being a kid. Like if you were very, like with, I guess, like present big grandparents or however you were raised, like you looked for the fun in
Yeah,
every single day. Like what's something to make this more fun? Like just
totally.
going back to that is such a hack. So
Yeah,
good.
totally.
Yeah.
And if you
Yeah.
don't know what things that you enjoy, I just heard this on a podcast the other day. She said to
Mm,
think about what you loved as a child. Like if you
yeah.
loved drawing, if you loved painting, like think about that and just try that again, because that was you. So there might
Mm,
still be part of you that really enjoys those things too.
yeah. Maybe this is something that like you would like to share, but the last question is like, would you like to share something that really resonates with you that you really absolutely need the audience to know?
Ooh, this is a good question. I think one thing that I want the audience to know is that you're not stuck. You're not
Mm,
forced to be where you are right now. I think so many women think life is happening to them when we all have complete control of our lives. If you saw me, I don't even know. I'm thinking like college, because that's kind of when I went through my glow up. You,
mm,
like, not only physically did I look drastically different, but how I talked to myself was drastically different. Like, I think so many people think that they're just stuck with like their body, they're stuck with like their situation, they're stuck with their environment, when you have so much power and so much control, and it doesn't have to be hard. I think everyone's like, oh, it's going to take so much time to change. It's like you can truly glow up, and I don't just mean physically, I just mean
Yeah.
being so happy from the inside out, and it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like this long drawn out things. You can make change happen very, very quickly, and it doesn't have to be miserable. And
Yeah.
you just have so much power. Like, I think we just don't give ourselves enough credit. Like, we have so much freaking power to change our whole lives and change who we are. It really just starts with a decision to, to want more out of your life.
What a way to finish off the episode. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on. What a
Yeah, thank
pleasure.
you.
Where can people find you? We'll have all of your links below, but just a quick shout out for you.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's just at Ashley Robutz, my first and last name. And I think YouTube is also Ashley Robutz. So yeah, I'm on all of the socials, just my first and last name.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.